Well, thank you, Brenda, and I want to thank Brenda and Dave and all the coaches here and all the parents for having this program here. Dave asked me to just share my story, being a local kid here, and then lessons that I learned along the way. And starting off, I'd say I would have loved to have had this when I grew up. I went to Earl Warren here, and I used to play at the Boys and Girls Club back when they had carpet on the floor. And I don't know if anybody was here back then, but they used to have the floor carpeted. And we used to play all the time down at, it used to be called Pillbox, but down Fletcher Cove, play pickup games there all the time. And my story, and I'm going to share some lessons that I made a top 10 lessons that I learned along the way that I think I'd like to share with everybody. I think it applies to basketball, but it applies to life. People, dream big, follow your dream. And really, to have a dream, I believe you have to love it. It has to be your passion. I'm assuming most of you, it probably involves basketball, but it could be piano, it could be science, it could be whatever it is, but have a dream. Then with that dream, the next step is to have a plan. All right, how are you going to get there? For me, as I talked about, it was, well, first thing I got to do is make the 8th grade team, then the freshman team, then JV, then varsity, so on and so on. Have a plan. How was I going to make all those teams? I was going to outwork everybody. There was nobody who was going to outwork me. And I just said, I am going to be on that court every time I can. Nobody will outwork me. And I not only would do things on the court, I'd figure out how to do things off the court, training-wise. We used to do the and this is way back before all the trainers, plyometrics, where you go out and, running sprints, doing jumping exercises. I used to jump rope all the time. My dad bought a little trampoline. I used to just jump on the trampoline for hours on end, just so I would become a better player, more athletic. I used to work out with actually a friend I just talked to today, a guy named Bobby Kapner, who grew up here, who was a great player at BYU. We used to get a harness. One guy puts the harness around the other guy's waist, and he holds it while the other person takes off and runs, and do all these different type of workouts, lifting weights. Whatever it took, I was going to get better to follow my dreams, make my dreams come true. The next one I put down is number 3 is perfect practice. We've all heard the saying, practice makes perfect. Well, it's not actually true. It's perfect practice makes perfect. And the idea here is I've seen and it's human nature, some guys just come out, start throwing up half-court shots or three-point shots without warming up, go through some things, mess around a little bit and say, all right, I got my gym time in. That doesn't really that can be okay. But if you want to get better and have a plan, figure out what you need to practice. Have a detailed plan. I think it's great that the Cats put out the skill sheets. Maybe you should ask your coach, what else should I work on besides what's on here? Or could it be tailored for me? Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Figure out what you need to work at. The next one I wrote down was excel at least one area. I was fortunate. I was, a junior. When I was a junior in college, I used to come back here during the summers, and we used to have some of the best pickup games anywhere down at USD. You had all the USD, San Diego State players. You had the Clippers in town, or they had just moved, so a lot of the players, Bill Walton was still playing, and you had athletes in action. You had just great players. And a guy named Lorenzo Romar, who's I played with, who's now the coach at University of Washington, said, you know what? You got to be good. To make it in the league, you got to be good at one thing. Excel in at least one area. And I see it now as being on the coaching side. You get a different appreciation when you coach. Be better than everybody on your team at least one area. Now, hopefully you can do it in multiple areas. But for me, it was rebounding. Rebounding and defense, I was going to be the best on the team. So if the coach put me in the game, he knew I was going to get every board, and I was going to defend. Some of you guys might be ball handling. Be the best ball handler, or you don't turn the ball over, or you're a shooter where coach can count on. but excel in at least one area. The next thing I wrote down was get help. Take advantage of the coaches around you. We have great coaches here with the Cats. Take advantage of them. Like I said, I wish I had this kind of help when I was growing up. I had to do a lot of it on my own, figure it out on my own. Take advantage. Ask the coaches, how do I get better? Help me out. Get a friend to work. I talked about my friend Bobby Kabner, who is a great player, who helped me get better. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club. There was a guy there, he used to work there by the name of Rennell Nalon. He used to beat me up every day after school playing on one-on-one, just wear me out. By my junior, and he was about 6'3", on his jumper he'd be about that high. He played in college, great player. By my junior year, I beat him. I beat him my junior year, 8th, 9th, 10th, it was probably 0 to 100. Then I beat him. And you know what that did? By him not allowing me to beat him up until that point, and by my sticking with it, when I beat him, I said, all right, now I'm getting pretty good. Now I can go. And so get somebody, the point was, he helped push me. So get somebody, whether it be friends, coaches, to help push you along, motivate you. Work hard, I've talked about that. But basketball success in life is really not a secret. What's the saying? The harder you work, the luckier you get. The guys I played with who were the great players were the best players because they worked the hardest. Now, yes, they had natural talent. They had ability, but so did a lot of guys who lasted 1 year and faded or didn't even make it. I can't tell you how many great players I played with in pickup games or in high school or whatever, college, who didn't make it. The best players worked the hardest. Kevin Love, who Brenda said I worked with, had the pleasure of working with up in Oregon in high school. In high school, he's in the gym at 6 every morning, working out with a strength coach, and then practice after school. He outworked everybody. The great players I played, the Patrick Ewing, outworked everybody. Michael Jordan outworked everybody. Yes, they had great talents, but it's hard work. You got to work hard if you want to excel. Never give up. That's number 7. And that just goes with never give up in that you will be dealt a lot. It's not going to be a clear path. It doesn't just go a clear path where you're going straight to playing, whether it's on varsity or college or wherever it is. It's never always easy. You're going to have your ups and downs. And you know what? That's okay. In fact, that's even better because it makes it that much sweeter when you get there. It'll never be a clear path, and never give up. Don't let others tell you what you can and can't do. So don't be discouraged. Michael Jordan got the greatest player ever to play this game, was cut by his varsity coach, I think as a sophomore or something like that. Michael Jordan was cut. Never give up. Other players I played with didn't even get recruited out of high school, that sort of thing. A lot of different stories like that. Don't let others control your life. Don't let what others say to you influence what you believe about yourself. If someone says, no, you can't do it, don't listen to them, right? Don't let others discourage you. And that's something, as I said, as a sophomore, junior, I was probably about 6'7", weighed about, 160 pounds or something ridiculous. I was kind of the kid that, you said had to run around in the shower to get wet. People, there's no way people did not encourage me, let's put it that way. People will tell you can't do it. Because most people want to keep you with them. They don't necessarily really want you to succeed. So you got to believe in yourself and not listen to what others are saying around you. Believe in yourself. Be a winner. Be a winner. Make those around you better. And that will actually make you better as well. Be a good teammate. And I see it here. I see sometimes where there's great teammates, and I see sometimes where I see guys who I don't think are great teammates. And by that I mean encourage those around you. Make everybody else around you. And you guys know, anybody who's played the game knows exactly what I'm talking about. The guy who, if someone throws the ball away, will yell at him in front of everybody and try to embarrass them, versus the guy who just pats everybody on the back and gets them going. Be a winner. Make your team better, not just by your play, but how you treat others. Real important. There is no better experience than being on a team where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Does anybody know what that means? Where the whole, that means your team, if you looked at the 5 guys individually, or the 12 guys individually, you'd say the team, be right about here. But when you put them together and they play together, they're up here. I had that experience with the New York Knicks when we went to the NBA Finals. We weren't projected to go that far. We had to beat Miami in Miami, who was the #1 seed. Then we had to beat Atlanta in Atlanta, who was, I think, the #3 seed. Then we had to beat Indiana in Indiana when they were the #2 seed. Nobody believed, but we came together as a team. No greater experience. And I'll tell you, guys there's some guys on that team that stayed in the league longer than they might normally because they were such good teammates. And for myself, I always took pride in the fact that every team I was on ended up making the playoffs. So be a winner. The last one gets back to that dream big, but it's the idea of dreaming big and believing yourself, self-efficacy. And the definition here is the unmistakable belief some people have that they have what it takes to succeed. Basically, it means believing in yourself. And I've always loved this one quote. It's from Henry Ford. Henry Ford started cars and very, very great inventor and businessman in the early 1900s. Whether you think that you can or think that you can't, you are usually right. Think about that. Whether you think that you can or think that you can't, you're usually going to be right. If you don't believe it can happen, it won't. If you do believe that it will happen, it probably will. And even if it doesn't, I will tell you, in dreaming big, the journey's worth it even if you don't get there. You know, I had dreams of I was going to make the All-Star team, I was going to average 20 points, I was going to do this, I was going to win the NBA championship. There's a lot of dreams that I didn't hit. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's the journey getting there. John Wooden, probably the greatest coach ever, talked about the journey. He's always asked about winning the championships. And he said, you know, some of my best years were early on where we weren't even 500. It wasn't about the end result. It was about the journey getting there and how you led yourself through that journey. I think that's very important. I just want all of you to take advantage of what's here, and I look forward to watching all of you as you guys get better on your journey and getting and accomplishing your goals and going as far as that you want.